back with you. It's BBC Radio Oxford. A very good afternoon. I'm Kat Ormond. Hello. Now, in June, Darren Taylor, a fireman from Childbury, along with his rowing partner and ex-schoolmate Alex Flynn, who has Parkinson's disease, are set to row the Pacific in the inaugural Great Pacific Race. We're following them every single step of the way, from their preparation to, of course, the race itself. And all the people involved with the boat builder, we met him, Charlie, last month, to the training as they also embark on a world record. Today I'm joined by the boys, of course, Alex and Darren, and Helen Dawes from Oxford Brookes University, as we look at how their row will assist her research into the positive effect of physical activity on brain diseases. Welcome to you all. It's good to see you. Alex on the phone, Darren in person, and also Helen as well. Welcome to the studio.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, Alex. Hello, how are you? Now, Helen, just want to start with you first, actually. But this is a particularly timely thing, is in the papers today. The headline is, and I quote, "Exercise is essential to grow back your brain." They say physical activity today is important to staving off dementia.
Okay. Yes. So I think being active and physically active has been shown to be good for you. So we all know it's good for your health and well-being and how well you feel and your mood. And also more recent research seems to appear that both in childhood and later on in life, that activity is not only good for your body, but it's also good for your brain. So it seems to be good for the nerves in your brain and also for the connectivity in your brain as well.
I mean, it doesn't mean that anyone with early onset dementia has to go off and row the Pacific, although they can if they want to. Of course, it will have benefits. But what sort of physical activity are we talking about here?
In terms of it being beneficial for people's brains, I think that the straight answer is we don't know exactly what people should do, but it would appear that activities that maybe make you a bit out of breath, so there's sort of aerobic or endurance, gets your heart rate, gets the blood flowing to your brain, that's always a good thing. And also activities where you're having to think a little bit too. So there's some thought that learning new motor physical activities, so maybe learning an activity like swimming or something like that, might be good as well.
Alex, good to have you on the phone. How are you feeling?
Pretty good, actually. I was just listening to that and thinking, I'm writing my book at the moment for about 10 million meters, and I'm midway through the Trans-America Challenge. And when I was actually doing that, I cut down on my medication. And I felt that it had there was correlation between exercise and the lowering of my medication. So hopefully this is something that we'll be able to find out in PacificRow.
Alex, the news that we've been talking about in the paper, as in the headline, "Exercise is essential to grow back your brain," and they say physical activity staves off dementia. This supports what you are fighting for here.
Absolutely, 100%. I've been saying it for a number of years now, that I'm almost 6 years post-diagnosis now, and I'm still able to run marathons and do things that, quite frankly, I shouldn't be able to do.
News like that in the paper, of course, your own experience as well is giving hope to sufferers with brain diseases. Alex, do you think your Parkinson's would have progressed had you not been such an adventurer? I think
being physically active has helped me enormously. I think there are a number of factors that are created in your body. Your body is a series of chemical reactions, and you're helping promote those good chemical reactions by exercising and exercising hard. And I think that, I have no doubt that my symptoms have been ameliorated, I think. But I would like to put that into a position where we've got some statistical evidence.
Absolutely. Of course,
Brooks.
Alex, you couldn't do this without the help of your rowing partner, your friend, in fact, your ex-schoolmate. You're at school together, Darren Taylor from Childbury. This is something that you care passionately about because I guess, being a very good friend of Alex, this was probably, quite hard-hitting news when, he told you for the first time that he had Parkinson's, and that was the diagnosis.
I think it's always associated with the older generation, Parkinson's. However, there is more and more evidence to say that people are being diagnosed younger, or possibly just because we recognise the symptoms from a younger age, it's just being, diagnosed more frequently. When I heard about Alex's 10 million meters campaign, I did want to try and do something to help him. And to start with, it was the fact that we were trying to raise money for the Cure Parkinson's Trust, or we are raising money for the Cure Parkinson's Trust. But as far as medical research goes, whatever amount we raise, obviously, will always be gratefully appreciated. but it's probably going to be a drop in the ocean, if you'll excuse the pun. And this way we can provide research data that will hopefully sort of push forward the search for better medication.
Well, we're going to talk about the research data and indeed Helen's involvement in just a couple of moments' time. But I want to talk about where you are with the preparation right now. Of course, we saw you last month, we saw you previous to that, and we saw you last year. And last year you were saying, well, next year we're coming into March. It's not that far away. We're going to be talking a matter of 3 months' time. You are going to be doing this almighty challenge.
It's funny, there's a countdown clock on the website, and every time I obviously have a look at it and what's going on, then it is always ticking down. And we're doing okay. We are still looking for sponsorship. The boat has got to a certain stage now where it's ready to be fitted out. All the components have been brought together. However, we are still looking for financial sponsorship, especially from Oxfordshire businesses, because we feel that they benefit the most from what we're doing, from the PR that we're receiving. It ticks all the boxes for them, and it also just gives themselves a chance to align with a project like this, which is looking for the greater good for people across the globe. So I would ask, if there is anybody out there that is interested, please take a look at our website. There's a whole raft of reasons why you should get involved. It's not purely for business. It's also, like I say, the social side of being able to reach into people's lives and help them. Like I say, have a look at the website. I'm sure that you'll be putting the website address up at the end of this on your Facebook page.
Absolutely. Oh, you could do my job. You could just present this. You know exactly what we're going to do.
I'll know what I'll do when I come back from the road then, yeah.
You're listening to my guests this afternoon, Darren Taylor, Alex Flynn, who is on the phone, and also Helen Dawes, who is from Oxford Brookes University. And not only are we talking about the PacificRow that you've been preparing for some months now, we'll talk about where you are with the preparation and indeed how you are both feeling as the whole race and hopefully the world record that you're going for. Hopefully the world record. I think there's no doubt that you're going to get the world record, but we'll talk about the race, how you're feeling. We'll also talk about all the positive awareness that you are creating, and indeed lending your persons, I suppose, as well to the research with brain disease. So many things, so many positive things, of course, are going to come out of this PacificRow. We'll talk more after this. Darren Taylor from Charlbury. He's a fireman. He's putting his life on hold to join his rowing partner, Alex Flynn, who joins us actually on the phone to row the Pacific. It's getting very, very close. Now, you're not just doing this because you feel like it. You're not just doing this because, in fact, you probably will, in fact, get a world record. You're doing this because Alex, as we have explained, has Parkinson's. And, Helen, you've got on board from Oxford University. And what you are doing is creating an awareness and lending yourself to the research in the positive benefits to physical activity in treating and hopefully delaying the onset of brain disease.
Yes. So I think that Darren approached us and asked if we would support them. And I think we're quite excited because it's an opportunity for us to look at two people who are really well matched because they're basically about the same age, I think, performing really intense activity over a prolonged period of time. So there's a lot of research where we've explored the impact of different kinds of exercises on people with Parkinson's, and we're just carrying out a study at Oxford Brookes at the moment exploring the impact of 6 months of exercise on people with Parkinson's. But typically those activities usually are a few times a week, something like that, whereas our intrepid...
This is a whole different spectrum, really, isn't it, Helen? So what have been your findings then so far?
I think the jury's still out at the moment. I think the general information is that being active is good for you, and it's good for people with Parkinson's and other neurological conditions. I think what we don't know is how much and exactly what activities people should be doing. And I think we're always a bit wary of making people work too hard, and I think people themselves are a bit wary of making themselves work too hard. So, not many people are prepared to go out and row every day of the week, let alone every 2 hours with only a 2-hour break. So it's quite exciting, I think.
This is also creating an awareness, Alex, because you are a young man, and we don't often associate it, as you've said many times before, with a young man suffering from Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that it's a disease that doesn't discriminate. It encompasses every age. And I think what I would love to see is, I think the use of the word cure might be a step too far, but I'm looking for information that comes off this study that gives us an idea as to how much exercise is needed to bring people back to functioning properly, to losing that weight of social embarrassment that can necessarily follow them around with Parkinson's.
Helen, when the boys start the challenge, how are you actually going to use them in your research? I mean, bearing in mind, you're going to be here in Oxford, and the boys are going out to row the Pacific.
Yeah, I like the word use there. So hopefully, so what we're going to do before then is actually have a look and see how fit the boys are and how well they move, and also try and have a look at how their brain controls their movement to a degree. So that's what we're going to do before they go. And then we're going to offer them some advice, hopefully, and some support. And then actually, whilst they're out there rowing, we will be able to, because of new technologies now and sensors, we will be able to monitor their activities. So we can monitor their movement. So we've got sensors that can pick up their movement hundreds of the time a second. So really intensive monitoring of their activities, and in line with what they're actually getting up to, and possibly the medications that they're taking as well. We'll be able to see how the impact, if you like, of the activity and exercise on them throughout, and we can look at their heart rate and how their body's coping, and also how they feel. So we might actually ask them how they're feeling about the whole thing too, and their mood.
I know that we're going to be asking you a lot how you're feeling, because as I said, we are going to be with you every step of the way, of course, and monitoring. So how are you using? Because obviously you're using Alex and Darren with your studies. So how are you going to sort of compare and contrast the way that they respond to certain medicine or whatever? Because obviously Alex suffers from Parkinson's and Darren doesn't. Yeah,
I think we're going to observe for the period that they're out there. So we're literally going to watch them every second of the day and see how they are getting on, see how their bodies are coping, and see how well they're moving. So they're going to be doing a really intensive period of rowing. I presume that they won't be such expert rowers, particularly for that type of boat at the beginning, and then we're going to see how well they learn to row. So by the time they've finished, I think they're going to be pretty expert at the whole rowing, and they're 2 hours on, 2 hours off. So we're going to observe how they both do, really, and see how they get on.
How important and how invaluable, in fact, is it for you to have a case study such as Darren and Alex?
It's fantastic, because I don't think this sort of opportunity presents itself very often. It's not often that you come across two people who are mad enough to do this sort of thing and perform this kind of activity for this prolonged period of time. So yeah, it's great, and the information will be invaluable. So
Alex, as a Parkinson's sufferer, there must be, I suppose, a degree of excitement with perhaps the things and the findings that are going to come out of this row.
I think the excitement for me is exactly that, but also being part and parcel of something that's much bigger than myself or Darren or the project combined. If it goes to actually facilitating better treatments, then that in itself is outstanding.
Cat Ormond on digital 95.2 FM and online.
BBC Radio Oxford.
Radio for Oxfordshire.
And I'm joined this afternoon on the phone by Alex Flynn. I am joined by his Pacific rowing partner, Darren Taylor from Charlbury, and also from Oxford Brookes University, I am joined by Helen Dawes as well. So, Helen, we've been talking about what sort of things that you are going to do in terms of collecting data from Darren and, of course, from Alex as well. When you've got that research data back, when the row is finished, and, of course, they've beaten the world record, how soon before you are able to sort of use the data that you collect to come up with usable data?
Hopefully, I think it depends to a degree how quickly we can get the data off the boys. So we're just trying to work out how to get the data straight away. So one option is that we can have live feed of their data. So the data will be in some form pretty quickly, straight away, in fact. In terms of cleaning it up so that other people can have a look at the data, that'll be fairly quick, within a period of months.
Who would those other people be?
Who would be interested in the boys' data? I think a lot of the scientific community would be interested in terms of seeing how particularly Alex performs against how Darren performs, and in taking his medication. So his movements, we'll have how he's moving throughout all of his rowing sessions, and that in relation to when he takes his medication and how he performs will be really interesting and hopefully really informative for him as well.
Alex, you mentioned before actually that you haven't been taking your medication because of, the physical activity indeed that you have been doing.
I'll clarify that. When I was actually crossing the United States,
right,
and I was regularly doing upwards of 100 miles a day.
And so it was only when that finished that you had to start retaking your medication.
I started retaking it before I finished because of the temperature actually dropped. Temperature is not good for people with Parkinson's, I guess. But the demonstrative effect of exercise, I think, was clear, and I'm just outstandingly grateful to Oxford Brookes University for coming on board and participating and making this research a reality.
Well, I think it's mutual, actually. I think Oxford Brookes are really delighted to have two completely mad adventurers offering up their bodies for this kind of research data. Helen, you must have some kind of little inkling as to what your findings might be.
At this point, I don't think there'll be a finding per se. I think the data will be informative, and I think it will inform us in relation to someone with Parkinson's and how if they perform physical activities, how they're taking their medication, and the time from taking their medication is related to how well they move and how smoothly they move. And I think this will be really helpful for people with Parkinson's, because I think it's one area that people with Parkinson's are constantly having to debate is exactly the timing of their medication in order for them to perform the activities that they would like to perform every day. But you're probably better asking the expert here.
Well, before I do, I just want to ask you, why do you care so much about brain disease?
Why do I care
Why do you care about this? Why do you spend so much of your life researching this kind of brain disease, Parkinson's, and trying to come up with breakthroughs?
I think it's because I feel, so it might be a bit of an ego there, but I think I can make a difference. So my background was working in sport, and elite sport, and I came across a study with brain injury, traumatic brain injury, where exercise appeared to be having an impact, and it was something I thought I could actually make a difference and inform.
You couldn't do it without the boys.
No,
of course. Let's just talk a little bit more about the row, actually, because we mentioned finance. Finance is always it's always that, the big consideration. Where are you with that? And do you need more businesses coming on board?
Yeah, we really do. At the moment, the boat is under construction and it's reached a certain point. We are carrying on. We've got enough funds to carry on with that. But obviously, to be able to take part in this and to give this research data over, we need to be able to make it to the start line. We are contacting Oxfordshire companies and the broader spectrum as well, international companies. But like I say, we do need this financial help. There's a lot of benefits to the companies getting involved. We are absolutely positive that as long as we get to go on this race, then we will be coming back as world records, barring acts of God. We've got a fantastic team behind us. And there's lots of opportunities for the local companies to get involved and not only have the knowledge that they're helping people across the globe, but also benefit from a business side of things with a positive PR and brand association and so on and so forth. So we continue to look for funding. Alex is doing very well over in France where he's training right now, and he's contacting all the larger corporations where we've had contacts before. But we'd still implore people to get in touch. It's not a desperate thing. We want people to share in what we're doing. It's almost like I hate to use the word, like a PacificRow 2014 family. Now, people through social media these days, it's absolutely fantastic. We have quite a few people following us on Twitter and on our Facebook page, and the companies can get involved with this side of things and engage the people that we're engaged with, and therefore can promote their own brand while at the same time helping us out with the research data as well. So we would ask people to get in touch. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. Every little counts. We're doing quite well with Garmin at the moment. They've come on board as financial sponsors, and they're also providing us with a lot of equipment. And again, a lot of companies have, every time we speak to someone, they're always very much behind what we're trying to do and the reasons behind it. We've had a lot of products given to us, which again is bringing down the total cost. We've got people like Spinlock are providing us with the life vests and life jackets, and Mac Marine. There's a lot of people with a lot of different parts of equipment that are very, very expensive. I mean, the water maker alone is £4,000, and that's been donated. So, again, please get in touch if you think this sort of thing might be appropriate to yourself, either because you're interested in rowing or ocean crossings or the research that we're doing, or if you know somebody with Parkinson's or another neurological condition. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. We just want you to get involved, not just for getting us to the start line, but also to spread this message that Alex has. He's such an inspirational guy. And some people, might be sitting at home thinking there's nothing I can do about this. And so to provide Alex with this platform to promote the benefits of exercise is such a worthwhile cause. So,
I'd actually like to add to that. I mean, from my perspective, Parkinson's and neurological diseases will touch everyone at some point in their lives, whether or not you're a sufferer, you're a friend, you're a family member, your work colleague. You guys have been touched today because you've been listening to me on the radio, or you've been talking to me on the phone here, and I have Parkinson's. It touches everybody, and it's indiscriminate. There needs to be something to make that change happen. And I'm hoping that what little bit that Darren and I can do will make a positive change to that outcome at some point. And just like Darren said, be part of it, get involved, and join us and help make change, hopefully, people's lives.
Alex Flynn, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Thank you to Darren Taylor from Childbury as well, and also Helen Dawes from Oxford Brookes University. Of course, we will be catching up with you next month, as well as following your row every step of the way, although step really doesn't seem to be the right word. But once again, I thank you very much for joining us.